3rd, 2025. Today I'm going to talk to you about a prophet's reward. That's right. You know, Jesus didn't have a house. Jesus didn't have a wife. Jesus had his hands, his breath. He had his faith. I repeat again, he had his faith. His faith alone is what produced the miracles. His faith alone is what moved the mountains. His faith alone is what produced so much that people were jealous of him. Really. They envied him because he was homeless. They envied him because he didn't have a horse and chariot. In fact, he didn't have that because he had to say, "Go fetch me one of those." Okay? So, I'm just going to remind y'all today, there is a prophet's reward. For those of you that are hiding the prophet, your rewards are not being released. In fact, when you know the truth and you hide it, Jesus says, who lights a candle, who lights a lamp and throws it under the bed? Who lights a fire and puts it under their bed? No, they don't. Do you light a lamp and put the jar up on top where you can, display it so it can be seen? Yes. And when you hide a prophet knowing it's the truth, things start to fall apart. How do I know that for certain? I do know. Do you remember when the Gehazi spirit was coming against Peter, Paul? Do you remember when just Peter's shadow alone was able to transform people? That wasn't even Jesus. But because he believed in Jesus, his shadow was able to heal. People walked past him. So there must have been sunlight, right? And to be able to walk through the shadow of where he was at, you are receiving the presence of a prophet. That's a prophet's reward. That's kind of like hiding a lamp or a light. You don't hide it, right? Okay, so likewise, can you hear me now? Bigger. Can you hear me? Is it muted? I know how many people are very upset. Hi, everybody. Today is December 13th. Now it's on. Yay! I'm glad you're here with me. Where are you guys from? I'll repeat what I was saying. It was muted. Sorry. The enemy don't want you to hear half the stuff I'm saying. Because it's 4:40 and he'd rather have darkness, and to him he succeeds. If the only way he can make a flood is if it gets dark. Today is Wednesday, yes. It's December the 3rd as well. So where are you guys from? Where are all you from? I'd like to know about y'all too. I'm telling you a lot about me. Do you know have you ever heard of a prophet's reward? Have you ever lit a candle and put it underneath the bed? Have you ever lit a lamp and put it on a stand? Once you know that there is a candle that's lit, you don't hide it, is what I'm trying to say. And for a prophet's reward, I was going on and I was saying about Peter. Peter believed in Jesus, the lamp that was lit, that was actually crucified as well. And when people would come in the presence of Peter, they would just come in his shadow. So that means that to have a shadow, there's light, right? There's a light somewhere. The light, let's just say the light is Jesus. And here's Peter prophesying and laying hands on people. And just coming in the presence of Peter alone was able to heal the ones that would come in his shadow, walk through his shadow. So what I'm saying is, a prophet's reward works the same way. If you know that there is a righteous person and you're hiding that person, let me just say that. Jesus that is watching, the Lord of Lords, right? He's the Lord of the whole thing. He sees everything and he considers it. And then he starts to break things down. And I know it's certain, because the key that everybody has is right available. It's through Jesus Christ. But then he gives servants special assignments. And it's up to the people of this world to see what those assignments are and how does it fit into your life. For instance, like I was saying, Peter is just a servant, but he's also a disciple. He was an apostle. He knew of Jesus. He knew the works of Jesus, and he was doing them. And because of his faith, he was able to produce a lot. That's what I mean by walking in the shadow of a prophet's reward. Likewise, when you know that there is somebody being used and you're hiding that person, how can you receive a prophet's reward hidden? Okay, I'm going to say it like this. I knew a person, not in the physical, but online. And this person was a black man from Florida. About 3 years ago, he called himself a prophet. Forget what his name was. It's been a while. But he was a prophet, and he's saying pretty prophetic things. Some of them, the reason why I followed his channel is because they were pretty prophetic to my gift, also to my purpose and call. Seemed like he had some kind of insight, but he never saw me. But what he was speaking, the Lord was using him to speak. So I followed his channel knowing that there was messages that I needed to pick up on. Much like maybe what you're doing. And so he was finally, when we had some kind of communication and he saw my Facebook, he looked at me and he said, God's not using a gay apostle. Well, God doesn't, ask and consult anybody, on earth to say, hey, I know that they're gay, so what do you think we should do? I mean, does the Bible say I can't use this person? What do you think I should? I'm God, He doesn't do that. God chooses whoever he wants to get the message across. And when he wakes somebody out of their sleep, and suddenly they're being used by God, and you're trying to relay a message and the person saying, God's never going to use a gay apostle. Well, guess what happened? Suddenly, all hell broke through his whole household. Have you ever heard the enemy came into your house? Well, when you come against the Lord or his anointed or his servants, when you come against the Lord or his servants, the Lord comes against you. And what happened to him? He called himself a prophet, but he was saying to me, God's not using you. Do you know his brother came down with cancer? And his mother came down with cancer. Both of them died within a few months of him saying that. Then suddenly, within 6 months, he got cancer. Now, let me just tell you, when the Lord is using somebody and you come against that person, you'll come against the prophet. Now, when you know that this person is a righteous person, and you say, I'm not going to hide this person, I think this person's beneficial, I'm going to testify against this person. I'm going to testify with this person. Okay? Then what you're saying is, I want the prophet's reward. Because when you put your mind with their mind, there he is in the midst. Now you got a 3 chord, which isn't hard to break. Some of you are losing property value because you refused to do what was right. You fed off of, you got all the joy you could get. It was very fun while it lasted. But some of you took too much joy and didn't do anything with it. That's like the Lord gave you talent and you buried it. You just enjoyed it. All for yourself. You didn't sow it. But see, a prophet's reward comes when you sow, when you give. So that's how Peter was able to heal another in the shadow, because the light is Jesus. Peter's a servant. People would walk through the shadow of Peter to catch the light. Yeah, I hope that helps. And to all of y'all that is having a rough time right now, I get it. I look out in this world right now and think, man, if I had a stadium of people like these churches that are using Jesus' name and building their house up just to wear nice houses on their backs, fancy ties, and travel luxurious, you know what I'm saying? I ain't asking for all that. I'm asking for a healing in this world with the truth, with the absolute truth. This is the truth. So y'all have an awesome day.